What's going on, guys? I'm joined by Jeff Motz. Jeff is the sports director for radio stations KFOR 103.3 and KLMS ESPN Lincoln 101.5. And this is his first time winning the award. He is a sportscaster out of Nebraska. Thank you for joining us, Jeff, and congratulations.
Thank you very much for having me on, and appreciate everything that you guys have done with the organization for a number of years. And it's a very big honor, no doubt about it.
So, Jeff, what was your career path like on your way to where you are now? Did you always know that you wanted to do or be in the sports media industry or be a sportscaster? What was your career path like on your way to where you are now?
Actually, when I got into broadcasting, I mean, I do have a sports background, being a former athlete. When I got involved in radio, I was fresh out of my first year of college. And the experience that I had as an athlete in high school, being on some state championship basketball teams and lettering in not only basketball, but track,
Wow.
that was something that kind of helped me along here as I moved along in my career. But I've always had an interest in sports. And of course, media has always been an interest of mine. When I got into radio in 1997, I originally didn't have any intentions to be a sports broadcaster. I wanted to have my own morning show on a rock station. That was kind of the ultimate goal, just being influenced by some major shows that were on here in Lincoln and even 50 miles up the road in Omaha. And as time went along, when I got hired into the business at a competing station across town at the time, they introduced me to, well, you're just going to do some simple production work as far as making sure that the stations stay on the air and you record a weather forecast once an hour. But it wasn't until that fall that I became a stringer for high school sports that they were covering over there at the time. And being a stringer, what I would do is I go out to another game that was happening that they weren't covering on the air. And I would do a report for them either that night on a scoreboard show or the next morning on a tailgate show. And it evolved from there. I became a producer and halftime show host for Nebraska women's basketball, Husker baseball, became a producer for that. And then eventually I got involved in doing some on-air work. And what I originally set out to do was to be an on-air jock at an FM station. So I eventually got to do that. But as time went along, I realized some strengths that I had that from my sports experience and competing and so forth, knowing the teams locally and everything, that kind of transitioned into what I was ultimately going to be doing here for most of my career, and that's sports broadcasting. And so that really took off about 99 into 2000, and I first did my play-by-play broadcast back in 2000, and it was a game here in town between my alma mater of Northeast High School against East High School. My brother was playing for Northeast at the time, and I kind of jinxed him because my first play-by-play broadcast, he got sick at halftime. He wound up with 18 points in the first half, and he didn't play the rest of the game, and Northeast got beat. But so that was kind of the path that I took to get to sports broadcasting. And of course, a few more times I did the play-by-play, I was ultimately hooked. And then I thought to myself, this is what I really want to do for a career, if I could do it. And thankfully I have. I balance not only my sports duties here at the radio station, but I do some news, especially during the off season with our local sports coverage not really going on during the spring and summer months. I usually do a lot of news coverage in between to fill time during the course of the day. But it's something that I've grown to enjoy and love to do, and look forward to doing it every single day that I'm able to come in and work.
That's incredible to hear. And Jeff, what would you consider to be, your favorite part of your job right now?
Play-by-play. That's the ultimate cool part of the job. The preparation for it, I think, it's a lot of work, and there's times where you set out things that you have to do to get prepared for a broadcast. Sometimes they don't always work out. You start to worry a little bit on what you can do to fix that in a pinch. I know there's been interviews that I've scheduled that have fallen through, either because I've been too busy with other things I need to get done, or the coaches are not able to do it because they had another conflict that came up, but we still find a way to work around it. But when you get into the booth on a Friday night in the fall, or in a gym on a Friday night or a weekend in the wintertime, and you get set up, once that clock starts ticking off in the first quarter and the tip is underway, or the kickoff happens, or the first pitch happens, that's where I get into my comfort zone, and just I feel like I'm really relaxed. And that's kind of my special place, is to do that, and to do play-by-play makes me a little bit relaxed. Although in some cases, there's games that get exciting and you get fired up for it, and
Right.
and you get into it. So that's my favorite part of the job. The other thing, I think, if you look at what I do around here as well, in addition to my sports duties, my news duties, if there's something breaking that's happening here in Lincoln or somewhere in Nebraska, and getting to cover breaking news, that's kind of the other ultimate thrill I have with the job. And those are the fun parts.
That's awesome to hear. And just seeing you talk, like you said, like it could be like a comfort zone when you're in the booth and stuff, but that's interesting, because like you said, certain games get very exciting or tight, and you also get excited, but you're also relaxed. You have to keep your cool and call the game and stuff like that. How do you keep that balance? Like you said, it's your comfort zone, but also keeping up the intensity on the broadcast and keeping everyone entertained and informed. How do you keep that balance?
It can be challenging. One thing that you always hope for in a ball game is that you hope that there is excitement. And there are games where I've covered where the first half it's exciting, and the second half could be a total dud, and one team gets hot and runs away with it. There's times it's the opposite. One team has a marginal lead. All of a sudden, here comes this big second half comeback. And those are things that I like to draw upon to make it exciting. If a team's down 20 points to begin the second half, and they chip away, now they're down by 3 points with a minute left of the ball game. I mean, you're riding high. Your excitement
Right.
level is all the way up. And as far as trying to keep that balance of excitement, if we cover two teams that are here in town going against each other, I have to find a way to be balanced, making sure that, there's good things I see that I want to, give a lot of emphasis on for one team, and do the same thing for the other. And sometimes that can be challenging. Most of the time it really isn't, but I always go into the mindset when I go to a game, to remember that there are people listening in town or somewhere in surrounding area that are interested to find out what's going on. And you don't want to show favoritism towards one side compared to the other. And I remember one time I did a football game, highly contested game between two city teams here. And they've developed this long rivalry. And this has always been the big game, where it's been the attendance has been anywhere between 6,500, almost 8,000 people for this particular
Right.
game. So this is the big matchup in town. And one time I got accused of being a homer toward one team. Well, neither one of those two teams I went to school at. I graduated from Northeast High School, and it
Right.
was two teams on the other side of town that were playing. So, that's where sometimes I look at those comments, and it was made on Facebook at the time. And I look at those and I just kind of shrug them off. And it's like, well, if they really knew me, they would probably not say that, but they don't know me.
Right.
And I don't know them either. So I try to do the best I can to be impartial toward everybody. And at times it can be very difficult. It's probably easier if the Lincoln schools are playing a team from Omaha or out in central Nebraska someplace, because now you're covering the game for the team that's in your hometown, and that might be something of a slippery slope. But I really think I think impartiality, though, is very important in what we do for play-by-play, not just locally, but regionally and obviously nationally too. And the national guys do their best to be very impartial. And I know for them, it may be a little bit difficult for them to do every time they go out and do a broadcast. But I think for the most part, every one of those guys do a terrific job.
Awesome. Awesome. So Jeff, what do you consider to be the highlight of your career thus far?
Good question. I've never really set out a goal to where I wanted to be like when I was at 30 or 40. At one time when I was younger, I wanted to maybe go into a bigger market, maybe do a college gig as far as play by play. But when you have family that's here in Lincoln, I grew up here and my wife is from here. My wife, Jamie, and we've been married now just over 16 years. We've been together 19. And we kind of talked about that at one point. And we thought, we really don't have a desire, especially if we start a family, which, we got two kids and we want them to be closer to their grandparents. And that changed over time. So I thought if I had another job offer, maybe in an Omaha, which is again 50 miles up the road from here, I could probably do it. But as far as another major market level, whether it be like a Chicago, Minneapolis, or Kansas City, or someplace bigger, I think my dreams of that were put to rest back when I was in my mid to late 20s and started to settle down. But I guess this has been the destination because KFOR has been around since 1924. It's a heritage news station, information station. We've done sports. Our high school play-by-play, we've been doing it consistently for over 65 years.
Wow.
We're our Sportscasters Club, which consists of local businesses, whether it be the mom and pop shops, maybe the bigger businesses and major companies in town that like to put forth the money to not only sponsor but also support kids that compete at the high school level. And we give out scholarships that we've been doing for almost 50 years as part of the program, but they're not major money scholarships. I mean, these are kids that probably would not get a Division I offer to go play college athletics or get a scholarship elsewhere. I mean, these are things to help kids along to maybe pay for books and stuff.
Right.
But, it's nothing astronomical. But I think taking over a job for one of our other Sportscaster of the Year recipients from this building, Chuck Stevens, who won it 3 times, and he was here for 30 years. And taking over a legacy like that, to me, is an honor because KFOR has always been the leader from a local news and sports standpoint, and whether it be the high school stuff or Nebraska Wesleyan University athletics, and even covering Nebraska athletics on a larger scale. I'm very privileged and honored to be here at KFOR. So I think in the end, this has become my dream job. I guess I wouldn't trade it in for anything else right now.
Awesome. Awesome. And Jeff, my last question, for people that are thinking, like people younger, maybe my age, I'm 21, maybe a little younger, maybe a little older, who are thinking about getting into the sports media industry, what is the best piece of advice you could give those people?
If you are given the chance to help out with any broadcast, whether it be at a small town radio station helping out with the high school football broadcast, a small college when it comes to helping with their broadcast, whether it be producing it, maybe going on site with them. And if you have an internship that you get lined up or is offered that you can work through with maybe a pro franchise or a network that offers that type of programming, I would take advantage of the opportunity because that will help out in the long run. That will get you that will get your foot in the door. I came across my opportunity at the right time because there were bodies that were needed and they needed guys to help produce stuff. When I worked at our competitor here, when I first started in 1997, they were the flagship station and still are the flagship, even though the network operations have since moved out of there and are down at the University of Nebraska at Memorial Stadium and also on a studio off-site in downtown Lincoln. Back then, our studios were the flagship and network control for everything for the Husker Football Network. And getting involved in that and given the opportunities to get airtime out of it, but help with the production elements, that's good to have on your resume. And if you're aspiring to be a play-by-play person, if you go to school for it and they have programs for it where you can cover your college teams competing, take advantage of it. I know I've had a sports website of my own for just over 16 years now, and I've got kids at the University of Nebraska, Lincoln, that I give opportunities to go do play-by-play, just doing broadcasts over the internet, audio web stream play-by-play. And they put that on their resume. They turn that in as a demo. They give it to teams or radio stations that they're applying at, and they get jobs. I've had 2 or 3 kids that have done minor league baseball. One doing it for the minor league team here in Lincoln, the independent team. Lincoln Salt Dogs had another one that did it for an independent team out of Chicago. One that went down to Round Rock, Texas for a couple of summers and did play-by-play. So, any chance you get like that, even if it's a producing job, some sort of internship, if it comes your way, don't deny it. Take advantage of it. Seize the opportunity, because you don't know if it's ever going to happen to you again.
Awesome. Some great pieces of advice there by Jeff. But those are all the questions I have, Jeff. Thank you and congratulations again on winning the award. If you want to thank anyone for the award, or thank anyone who helped with the process, or you want to leave any closing remarks, you can go ahead and do that now.
I will close by saying this. I want to thank, first off, the NSMA for their selection and their selection committee for this award, because number one, I was not expecting this. It was kind of a surprise when I became a finalist and found that out. And then knowing that I received the award in early January, it was certainly a thrill. It really hasn't set in with me completely, but it's truly an honor. And to be on there and be the 6th sportscaster from KFOR in station history to receive that honor is truly amazing. I'm very thankful for that. And to my colleagues and those in the industry here in Nebraska for voting or nominating me, or awarding me the award. I don't know how that all works out, but thanking them so much for what they have done. And we got a great group of people in this state that cover sports, whether it be newspaper, television, radio, or internet. Everybody does terrific work all around. My wife, Jamie, my daughter, Tanasia, my son, Jared, for their support, my mom, Marcia, my brother, Jimmy, his wife, Mackenzie, and my niece, McGuire, and my nephew, Jace, always been very supportive of my work. And, I wish my dad was here to enjoy this. He passed away going on 3 years ago now from cancer. And I know he would have been absolutely thrilled to know that I won this award, and he would be just bouncing off the walls, because he was so proud of the work that I did in this industry. And one thing he told me, I remember one time I was a little bit frustrated with some things that I had early in my career. And he told me, he says, he asked me this question: do you enjoy getting up every day and going to work and doing your job? I said, yes. And he said, that's the most important thing of all, is that you get up and you love to go to work every single day because you love what you do. And my dad was a claims adjuster for 40 some years, and he made really good money, but I think he hated a lot of those days just because of the people that he had to work with, because a lot of workman's comp stuff, and it made him unhappy at times, but he made good money and provided for us. But those words have stuck with me ever since he told me that back early in my career. And I can't thank him enough. And I wish he was here to enjoy this occasion. And again, thank you once again to everybody. And congratulations to all the other award winners from across the country, and to the national winners too, for their achievements here in this past year.
That's awesome, Jeff. Thank you again. And congratulations on winning the award.
Thank you very much.